Good morning, everybody. It's my great pleasure to let you know that we have back on campus one of the most celebrated IIT Kharagpur alumnus, a person all of you look forward to, and a person who everybody in the country and in the world emulate and look forward to becoming one like him. Now, before this program was set up, the Google team wanted to bring in drums to welcome him. So I thought that drums is not probably the best way to welcome Sundar. So we'll do it the KGP way. KGP ka tempo? KGP ka tempo? KGP ka tempo? Thank you. Today, one amongst us is leading probably one of the most talented group of people in the world with the ability and dreams to change the world. What was it in KGP that he still carries? And what is it that he carries, that he brings back to KGP? We want this meeting today to be an experience for all of you. And let us make this experience memorable not only for us, but also for him, so that he comes again and again to campus. In 2015, a few years ago, this institute conferred him the Distinguished Alumnus Award. And looking at that, Google thought that that is not something that Google should do better, so they made him CEO. So from tomorrow onwards, we are going to deliberate what is the next thing we are going to do. And let that be a secret for some more time. Before Sundar comes in, and I don't want to waste everybody's time, I will first request Rajan, who's the head of Google India and Southeast Asia. We welcome Rajan and his team here for the great cooperation and the arrangements that have been made. Please welcome Rajan Anandan.
Thank you, Director Chakrabarti, for the very warm welcome. Sundar was just telling me that your director is the best director of any institution anywhere else in the world. So I think you should give a big round of applause. I'm incredibly excited to be here today with all of you, and I want to thank all of you for, many of you who are actually almost all of you who've been sitting in the sun for at least 30 minutes, probably much longer than that, for bearing with us, waiting to hear Sundar, who'll be up here in a minute. As many of you know, Google and IITs have had a long history. Many of our most senior leaders and a large number of our top performing engineers at Google come from the IITs. Most importantly, our CEO, Sundar Pichai, is one of yours. KGP 1993. There's no debating the fact that IITians from across the world have the potential and are impacting the lives of billions of people around the world. Two examples of that are Android and Chrome. Under Sundar's leadership, both have become amazing global platforms built entirely on open source. I hope over the next 20 years, each and every single one of you will have the same impact on the entire world. Today, India is among the largest contributors to open source projects around the world. In fact, KGP students have always been among the top contributors to Google's Summer of Code, where we invite applications for open source projects from universities across the world. Thank you for that. IIT KGP's PhD students, as well as faculty, are working on many truly world-class computer science research projects, especially in the area of machine learning. And you'll hear a lot more about that from Sundar. You know, 10 years ago or 20 years ago, for instance, when Sundar left India, if you wanted to work on really amazing new technologies, really amazing new innovations, it was quite likely you might have had to leave India. But today, India is a very, very different India. Over 350 million internet users, the second largest internet market in the world, the most dynamic internet market in the world, and in a short period of 4 years, we'll have over 500 million Indians on the internet. For many of you, you wouldn't have to leave India. In fact, I genuinely hope that none of you leave India, that all of you stay in India and all of you innovate for India. But as we look at this country, as we look at this country of 1.4 billion people, we have so many challenges. And if you're an entrepreneur, challenges equate to opportunities. We have opportunities in financial services. We've seen the advent of that over the last 8 weeks or so with demonetization. We have opportunities in healthcare, in education, in agriculture. You can name the sector in India, and we have so many opportunities. And we believe as Google that all of these opportunities are going to be addressed by building new businesses, by young, amazing entrepreneurs, and we really do hope that many of them will actually come from all of you. And these new businesses that will be built will largely be built mobile first. Why? Because India is a mobile first nation. We already have over 200 million smartphone users, and by the year 2020, we'll have 500 million smartphone users. So the consumers are going to be connected on their phones, and then the question becomes, how do you invent, reimagine new business models that are going to address these incredible opportunities that we have across every single sector in India? As Google, we've been very committed to working with developers, working with entrepreneurs, and working with small businesses to help them build the skills that are required to go out and build these incredible new businesses. When Sundar was here last year, we announced a program to train 2 million mobile developers in India. I want you to imagine an India where 2 million of us will be able to build world-class mobile applications. We partnered with over 40 public and private technical institutions, as well as the National Skills and Development Corporation, to both develop and roll out these courses so that 2 million Indians can become proficient at building world-class mobile applications. You know, our experience shows that when we build for India, we build for the world. Over the last several years, we've launched several new products. Some of them are brand new products, some of them are innovations to our products. For instance, we took our products offline. We took YouTube offline, and now it's in 80 countries. We took Maps offline, and now it's in many other countries. So one of the things we've learned is when we build for India, you build for the world. IITs have played a very critical role in giving the world the best minds. As a Googler, and there's about 50 of us here, you gave us our favorite CEO. Thank you. In 10 or 20 years, one of you will be sitting on this chair. In fact, I hope many of you are sitting on this chair, because by the time that you graduate, whether it's 6 months from now or 3 years from now, India is going to provide so many incredible opportunities for you to innovate and for you to make India and the entire world a much better place. Now, I'd like to welcome our moderator for the fireside chat, Hitesh Oberoi. Hitesh is the co-promoter, managing director, and CEO of InfoEdge. InfoEdge, as all of you know, is India's most valuable publicly traded internet company. Brands that many of you will know, like Naukri, 99 Acres, Jeevan Saathi, and many other brands are owned by InfoEdge. Over the last 15, 20 years, they built an amazing internet company right here in India. In fact, Zomato, which I'm assuming many of you use, is Zomato here in Kharagpur as well? Fantastic. Is majority owned by InfoEdge as well. Hitesh is a very close friend and kindly agreed to be here, so I want to thank Hitesh for being here. Hitesh is also an IITian, IIT Delhi 1994. Thank you all for joining us, and let me now welcome Hitesh on stage to start the main event. Have a great time.
So I guess you guys have been waiting patiently for a long time. Let me call on stage Sundar Pichai. Welcome.
Thank you.
So welcome, Sundar, to IIT Kharagpur. As you can see, you don't need much of an introduction here. You're a rock star on campus. We have over 3,500 students here in the amphitheater and outside.
Hopefully they're not
Waiting
too
for you
warm.
to hear
It
from
looks
you.
hot there. Yeah.
So tell us, how does it feel to be back at IIT Kharagpur after 23 years?
I mean, it is, last time I left, I was making my way to the train station. I was pretty sad to be leaving college. It was an amazing 4 years. I haven't been back since then, so it's extremely nostalgic. I had a chance to come and go back and see the hostel and the wing Beat Up West in Nehru Hall, where I stayed. And I can see there are a few Nehruites out there. But it's been phenomenal to come back.
Did you ever imagine that you would be here 23 years later, sitting in an amphitheater like this in front of 3,500 students?
No, definitely not. I was, I think, as most people here know, getting into IIT is hard work. And so when I came to college, I was just looking to have a good time. It was a great 4 years. So I hadn't thought that further along. But it's definitely great to be back here.
Okay. Well, we have a few pictures of yours from the time you were at Kharagpur. Can we play those pictures? Yeah. What do you say?
I guess that's my wingmates from Beat Up West. We literally didn't have cameras or phones back then, so it was a pretty. We have very, very few photos from them. So
yeah. And the second photograph, please. Do you remember this?
I'm not fully sure which is it. Harry's or Harry's? Yeah, there you go. It's a place where we all used to get together and eat, and so that's a picture from there.
What was the mess food like at that time?
One of the favorite questions, when the mess staff was great, but when I used to join, people would ask us to guess whether it was sambar or dal.
Is that still the case?
So that was quite an experience, and but they were great folks, and I'm glad they fed us for 4 years.
Yeah, yeah. Can we have the third picture, please? So can you identify Sundar Pichai in this picture?
Yeah.
This is at this amphitheater.
Yeah, I was sitting here, I was probably 25 years ago.
Yeah. You wanted to ask a question.
I don't know what was happening at the time, so I think we were just having
Do you
fun.
remember the event?
No, I don't. We're probably here for some performance, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So, you come across as this really humble, down-to-earth, nice guy. I'm sure you were a good student at Kharagpur. But I'm sure there was another side to you as well. Right? Yeah. There is to every IITian. There is to every IITian. Did you ever bunk classes at IIT? The morning classes? I mean.
Of course, I think it's the rite of passage of going through college. I had, I have to say I worked hard, but we did have our share of fun as well.
Did you get ragged?
It was pretty mellow. I definitely remember, when I started, hopefully it has gotten better by now. But we had a few things. I don't know whether you still have. At the time we used to have something called a CG change. I don't know whether you guys still do. It stands for center of gravity change. So you as a freshman, you lock your room and you go out and you come back. And the room doors aren't open, but everything inside your room has been rearranged.
Wow.
And they do it by putting sticks in and all your clothes. They've rearranged even the furniture. So it's quite a shock when you open your room door and you walk back in to see your entire room has been rearranged. So
that must have been crazy. I mean, as a freshman.
Yeah, it was quite an experience. I don't think that was as bad as maybe a couple of weeks into being here. I came from South, I came from Chennai. I'd learned Hindi in school, but I never spoke it much. Just listening to how people were speaking, I just thought you address people this way. So one day there was someone in the mess, and I had to call him. I called him Abe Saleh. That's how, in my first couple of weeks, I thought you call people that way. It was quite next thing I know, the folks in the mess were quite upset, and I think they temporarily closed down the mess.
Oh wow!
So I wasn't very popular for that day. So
you were responsible for the mess shutting down at IIT?
Just for a moment, yeah, just for a moment.
You met Anjali at IIT Kharagpur?
Yeah, Anjali is my wife. She was my classmate. She lived in. Do you still have? I hope you still have SN Hall. And it was the only girls' hostel then, and I hope there are a few more now. And it wasn't always easy if you had to go get someone at the girls' hostel, you had to walk in the front and request someone there to go call them. And so they would go in and loudly say, Anjali, Sundar is here for you. So it wasn't exactly a pleasant experience, but
Does it still work like that, or you guys use technology?
I guess it's moved on by now.
Yeah. So, when we were on campus, there was no Google, and there was no internet. Mm-hmm. So how have things changed? You've come here after a long time. Do you see a difference between then and now?
Of course, I come to India regularly, and the rate that Rajan spoke about it, the rate at which things are progressing, at least digitally, has been phenomenal, and you see it in every way. Of course, we didn't have phones there. I remember waiting for a long time to get the first rotary phone in our home, and it was a long wait to get that. Didn't have access to computers growing up. Saw the first computer here for a little bit.
We had to book time at the computer center.
Book time, carry floppy disks.
And floppy disks,
It's a very different world. So, clearly the progress has been phenomenal. Mobile is an amazing revolution for India. You have over 300 million smartphones. So you see the change, palpably, across everything I interact with. Though I have to say, walking into Nehru Hall, looking at my dorm, it still looks exactly the same as it did 25 years ago. So some things don't change, which is for the good, I guess.
Right, right. As you know, we have so many students here, and we ask them to send their questions, and we got about 1,200 of them. So we've chosen a few, okay, for you to answer. So if we can move to the first student, Sheikh Mohammed Samir. Can we have your question, please? Sir? Yeah, over there in that corner. Sheikh
Morning,
Mohammed Samir.
You must have sit here, so you know how glad we all are about you. Every student is anxious about your replies, and professors are happy that a student of theirs is in such a position. I want to ask, every student aspires to be in a respectable position. So when did you feel that you reached a checkpoint? When did you feel, yeah, I'm going to change from an alumnus to a distinguished alumnus?
I don't get to make that decision. I think it's a decision by the faculty here. I think I always approached it as I look to do something I really like doing. I'd always wanted to build products, and in my life, getting access to computing made a big difference. And so I've always wanted to work on computing, build computing products which could reach many users. And that's what I've been focused on. And so I think it's an end result of that. So.
Okay, can we have another question from Chiranjeev Singh Rathore? Yeah, over there.
Hi, sir. Sir, my question was, we are students and you are very humble, but there must be some crazy things you've done when you were in campus. So any of those memories?
What was the craziest thing you did at IIT Kharagpur?
You mean crazier than calling somebody Abe Saleh in the gym? I think I had my share of all the experiences which all of you go through. Staying late in the nights and missing classes in the morning. But overall, we had a very good group of folks. Living in a campus like this, you come away from home far away for the first time. And my best memories are with my wingmates. You develop close friendships, and visiting this trip in Bangalore, I got to see a few of my old Kharagpur classmates. So good memories.
Oh, wow. So shifting gears a bit, 10 years after you left IIT, you joined Google. It was 2004 or 5?
2004.
Yeah. And 10 years later, you were running Google, the world's most innovative technology company, right? The Google products just grow on you. Google Search, YouTube, Android, Maps. What is it that drives innovation at Google?
I think we've always had an ambitious approach to it. We call it internally as 10x or moonshots. We try to work on things which, the criteria we think is we want to work on things which people will use every day. Mm-hmm. It will apply to billions of people, and it solves a real problem for them. So that's the bar. So anything we try to do, we think of it that way. And so we aim high. We try to use deep computer science to anything we approach so that we can have a differentiated approach to solving it. And you want to aim high enough that you fail, a few times. I think that's the natural part of the process. In fact, Larry used to say, if you work on really difficult things, you're better off because you have no competition. Others aren't working on that difficult a problem. And even if you fail, you end up doing something great in the process. And so I think that's the philosophy which has guided us all through these years.
So you don't touch anything which is not relevant for at least 1 billion users.
We think, if the product is successful, that everyone should be able to use it. It applies to everyone. And Maps is a good example of it. If you think about it, understanding the world around you is a real human need. It applies to everyone. So we tend to focus on those kinds of problems, and that's what drives this.
Yeah, you've been talking lately a lot about machine learning and AI. AI was talked about even 25 years ago when I was at IIT and when you were at IIT. What has changed in the last 2 or 3 years? Why has AI become suddenly, and machine learning suddenly become the new buzzword?
I mean, I think the biggest advances you're seeing is largely due to two things. The techniques which we use in deep learning, deep neural networks, have been around for many years. But early on, they weren't that effective because you just didn't have the computational power to run these algorithms. Just for the past many years, the computational power has dramatically increased. So when you run deep learning on the latest computation, and with access to better data, you get dramatic breakthroughs. So for example, we recently launched Google Translate, and this is machine translation, and using our deep learning systems, the translation quality improvements just in the last year is bigger than what we've seen in the past 10 years cumulatively.
Wow, wow.
So it tells us that the ability for computers to do these kinds of tasks, be it image recognition, speech recognition, voice recognition, it's really hitting a tipping point. So I think we are definitely in a point of inflection, and we are investing a lot as a company here. And I can't wait to get these benefits to as many users as possible. I think it'll really drive the next wave of computing.
Excellent. You were in Bangalore. You met startups in Bangalore. And I heard you say that there's nothing really missing as far as startups in India go. They're as good as startups elsewhere in the world. But there's one thing which sort of, we also invest in startups, and we face this problem as well ourselves as a company, that the Indian market is not large enough to invest a lot in technology. So, so how do you, in a situation like this, compete with MNCs, which have large investments in technology?
No, I think it's a good question. I think part of the problem is in India, the potential is there, and the market is developing. I think it'll take a few more years for it to fully realize the potential. For all its potential, we get excited about smartphones, but we are talking a number of 300 million in a country of 1.3 billion people.
Yeah.
And not all of them have good connectivity as well. So I think the digital market is still developing, and so that's the problem you run into. And so as companies getting built here, it's difficult to scale across India and reach that full potential, which gives you the resources to go compete internationally. But I think it's just a moment in time. Hopefully Indian companies are more thoughtful about, when they build stuff, also targeting similar areas like Vietnam and Indonesia and Thailand. I think those markets are developed, and and the same products would work in those markets as well. So I think they need to set their sights a bit bigger. But it's a good question. But I think the trend lines are strongly in the favor. I think every year I can see the rate at which things are changing. Yeah. So in about 3 to 4 years, I'm pretty convinced, at least in a 5 to 10 year time frame, that there will be big global, software companies coming out of India, and we will be very used to it.
So when these guys graduate and when they want to build the next Google, they should build for the international market as well, and not just for the Indian market?
Yeah, I mean, I would aim big, and I definitely think you can build from India, and we see that at Google, increasingly there are things which we think about building for the Indian market, but which we think will apply globally.
So we are here sitting at IIT Kharagpur, and technology, as we know, is disrupting everything. It's disrupting education as well, right? Elementary education, even higher education. Today, you can get access to the best courses offered by the best universities in the world online, right? Mm-hmm. You can get access to courses from Stanford, MIT, everywhere on your desktop, right? So in a situation, and there are 5,000 engineering colleges in India and many other institutions. So what is sitting where you are, what would you recommend to them? How should they be looking at education? How should they be thinking about education going forward?
I think, it's one of the great things about India is this tremendous interest in education. People talk about it all the time. Most parents aspire for this for their children. And so I think it's a great foundation we have as a country. I think education needs to evolve and change just like with everything else. In my experience growing up here, I think there's a lot of emphasis on spending time on the books and, learning things academically. Yeah. I think, working the real world, I would say, it is important to be well-rounded. It's important to, try different things, take some risks. I would encourage people to, follow their passions a little bit more. I think one of the, for all the great things about the Indian educational system, I think there's a lot of pressure to follow set lanes throughout your career. You're in high school, you're thinking about college. I get very surprised. People come to IITs and immediately they are thinking about IIMs and so on.
Yeah,
I think it's important to get real-world experience. And if you take the US, for example, at a place like Stanford, most students don't choose their majors till their final year. So people explore different things and find what they're really passionate about. So I think those are all good things to aspire to. I think I would like to see people value creativity, value experience of doing things, taking risks, and academics is important, but it is not as important as it's also made out to be.
So you would want people and institutes to focus a lot more on experiential learning, project work, internships, stuff like that, to get real life experience.
Yeah, I think that matters a lot.
I think
people should be encouraged to take risks a little bit more and try different things till they find what they like doing.
Yeah, and things have changed. It's okay to fail even in India now.
Oh, I absolutely think. Look, it's remarkable to be at IIT. There are many, many great people who don't make it in, and you will see this later in life. People do well from all walks of life. I think it's important to remember, getting into an elite institution doesn't guarantee success. It matters a lot, but it doesn't guarantee success. And I think it's important to keep that perspective in life. And life is a long road, and so you want to take it at the right pace and enjoy what you're doing.
I interviewed a guy recently for our company, and he was all of 26, 27 years old, and he had done a startup after graduating. And he was very excited, and he wanted to do new things. So I asked him, what happened? I mean, why did you give up on the startup? You've already done one or two things, and you want to try a third thing. He said, I saw these friends of mine who graduated with me. They're doing such exciting stuff overseas and in India, that I went through a quarter-life crisis. And so I want to do new things. There's so much happening outside. There's so much opportunity today that there is no end to what you can do.
Yeah, I think it's great. I think there are definitely a lot more options. I mean, it doesn't need to be even in engineering. I think it's important to remember there are many, many different ways you can approach things. And what matters most is loving what you're doing and trying to do well at it. So
sure. So tell me, I'm sure there are lots of great technologists at Google, and you're a great technologist yourself. But what is Sundar Pichai like as a leader?
I think
what is your leadership style?
When you're trying to run something at the scale of Google, we have now over 60,000 people, and you rely on other strong leaders. I think a lot of what I do is I have an outstanding leadership team. It's learning to let go and really empowering people, at all levels of the organization, and trusting them to doing the right thing. And as a leader, a lot of your job is to make those people successful. It's less about trying to be successful and more about making sure you have good people, and your work is to remove barriers, remove roadblocks for them, so that they can be successful in what they do. And so that's how I've always thought about it. I've also valued teamwork quite a bit. And I think it's really important to build organizations where people actually want to work together. Everything comes out of that. So setting up collaborative cultures is another big thing I try to focus on.
So it's not about one person, it's about the team.
That's right. Yeah.
And if your team succeeds, you also succeed with them.
Absolutely.
Apps, great. So let's get some questions from the students. Arundhati Banerjee.
Google is having an impact all over the world. And as you mentioned, you use principles of computer science in most of your products. So we would like to know what is the next big thing going to be in R&D at Google?
I think it's a good question. It'd probably be, I can't quite tell it exactly, but I would say, I spoke about machine learning and AI. We are making a big bet on that. Advances in machine learning, I think, will make a big difference in many, many fields. We recently published a paper on, using machine learning to help diagnose diabetic retinopathy. It's a condition which causes blindness, but if you can detect it earlier, you can completely cure it. Otherwise, it causes blindness. It's the fastest growing cause of blindness in the world. Today you need advanced ophthalmologists to detect these conditions, but using machine learning, we can detect it pretty accurately so that a regular doctor can detect these conditions. I'm saying this is an early example of the kind of changes that will happen when you apply machine learning to all kinds of fields. Google alone won't do this, but to me, the thing I'm most excited about is bringing advances from machine learning and AI to as many people in as many fields as possible.
Yeah. Can we take one more question from Nishchal Kuterekar?
Hi, Sundar.
Okay, here he is. Hey,
Hey.
right.
My question is, how much power you have as a CEO of Google? Can you change the Google Doodle to IIT KGP building for a day?
I'm going to send a message to the team. Before you get too excited, I mean, the good news is Google is set up in a way, I think even if I send that email, they wouldn't do it, and here's the reason why. I think we have, we build an organization with strong ideals and values on when we show doodles, for what occasions, and it's less about what I want to happen as much as, we have a set of rules to go by. KGP definitely deserves celebration, and, look forward to doing it in the most thoughtful way possible.
No, we are a client of Google. Can you put us on the homepage of Google?
There you go. That's why we are thoughtful about these things.
Great. So, okay. Can we go to Sankalp, please? Oh, Sankalp is here right behind us. Yeah.
Hello, sir.
Hello.
What is the role of Google in the digitization of India?
I think, it's very much with our, core to our mission statement. As I said earlier, we really try hard to build products that work for everyone in the world. Search works that way, and so, when we look at India, the main areas where we have really focused on is a few things. To really make a difference in India, you need to get Google working in as many languages as possible. English is only spoken by a small segment of the overall population. So just getting Google to work in other languages is a big focus. We've made progress today in Android with search. We support many languages, but we want to do all that better so that it works even in rural situations with the right dialects and so on. The second is improving, getting access for people. So, I would love to see cheaper smartphones, entry-level smartphones. I think to really, we need to bring the prices down even more, maybe at a $30 US level for India for entry-level smartphones. And connectivity is extraordinarily important. This is why, we've been working on the Wi-Fi project. We have connected 100 railway stations. I heard the Kharagpur railway station has Wi-Fi. Though my memories of Kharagpur railway station, you asked about ragging, I was made to carry luggages for incoming seniors. It's a long platform. But, we are focused on bringing connectivity too, and we do programs like, Internet Sati, where we are training rural Indian women, on using the internet. Still, there's a massive gender gap between women and men in terms of using the internet, especially in rural areas. So we are targeting a lot of these programs. Yesterday I talked a lot about bringing small, medium businesses, the local merchants online, which will make a big difference as well.
So are you working very closely with the government also on the Startup India initiative?
One of the exciting things I found about India is you can actually do very effective public-private partnerships.
Yeah.
That model doesn't always exist in every country we work with. But I think, we are big supporters of the Digital India program, and we've done very successful partnerships. The Railways project, this is in partnership between Google and RailTel, and that's why we've been able to bring Wi-Fi access to many, many places. And we're always looking to partner. If you look at Aadhaar and UPI and how we partner with the NPCI, and we are working on digitizing payments, and so we tend to form these public-private partnerships, and I think they work very well.
Yeah, great. So when do you think India will catch up with China on the digital front? Forget about everything else.
I think the goal should be a bit different. I think I'm absolutely, with full certainty convinced that India will be a global player in the digital economy, and it'll be competitive with any country in the world. So I've always felt that, and I think you have all the foundations. When I've said this before, when I interact with startups in India. I find them world-class in terms of how they approach things, the entrepreneurs I run into, how they build products, and so I'm absolutely confident of it. I think there's a timing issue, but I think we are growing well as a country. I think we need to stay at it, continue doing all these things, and it'll take a few more years, and we'll get there.
Great. So, for a lot of the students here, you are their role model. They idolize you, right? A lot of them would give a lot to be in your shoes. So, I'm sure growing up, you had to work hard in school. You prepared for IIT, then you got into IIT. You spent 4 years here. You went overseas. A lot of people in IIT dream of going overseas for an education. So what are some of the tips that you would like to share with students out here? Oh.
I think I kind of answered it earlier. I would really encourage people to, I think there's a lot of pressure in today's system. I get surprised people start preparing for IIT in their 8th grades, and that's a bit shocking to me. I hope as people are approaching things, they are really taking the time to doing things, in a deeper way, understanding things deeper, learning by doing things. And, I think it's important to remember it's a long road. Setbacks actually don't matter. I think a lot of times when I was younger, people would say, this person didn't get into this college or something, and that's the end of the road. I mean, life is so different from that. And so I think it's important to, keep your hopes, keep your dreams, and try to follow them. And I think most of how life plays out is up to you, not up to what happens outside of you. And I think it's important to keep that in mind and take the long-term view.
So you can get a lot of C's at IIT and still make it big in life? You can get a lot of C grades at IIT and still make it big? I don't know what the grading system now is like, but
I think you have to ask Professor PPC on that. But for what it's worth, I do think I've gotten a C at IIT. So,
and it's okay if you're not in IIT also. You can still make it big.
Absolutely. I think there are several successful people at Google who have come from all over the world, including in India, from other institutions as well. I think there are world-class institutions outside too. Definitely IITs are the premier. I mean, they are respected not just in India, but globally. But I think there are many paths to success for sure.
Yeah, so, the done thing when we were sort of at IIT, and if you wanted to pursue a career in high tech, you went abroad. Because there weren't too many options in India. There weren't too many things you could do in India. Do you think that has changed?
Oh, absolutely. I spend every year I come, I travel to Bangalore and Delhi, and I meet startups. There are many, many entrepreneurs who have just gone to schools in India and decided to start up companies right here, and they're doing very, very well. And even at Google, we are able to recruit some of the best and talented people straight into Google in India. And so I think things have definitely changed. Especially if you take a look at for me, when I look at how much things have changed, things change a lot in a 20-year time frame, right? Yeah. When I left for the US, that was the first time I actually got on a plane, right? So going to the US was the first time I got on a plane. This week I met with the CEO of Indigo, and he was saying, roughly 100 million people fly in India every year, and you look at how the market has changed. Yeah. And so things changed remarkably in 20 years. So if you keep that perspective in mind, I think India is a great place to be looking ahead at the next 20 years.
Yeah, I mean, for the first time, I'm seeing actually two-way flow in terms of traffic. There are people coming back, and there are people going overseas as well. Yeah. Great. I think we'll take a few questions now. Can we go to Abhigna Revuru? Yeah, on that side.
Hello, Sundar. My question is, like Mr. Hitesh said, you are in a position many of us aspire to be in. So, say 10, 15 years ago, where did you think you would be here today? And 10 years from now, where do you see yourself in the future?
10-year shifts are really big. Just so you understand, in the 80s, mid-80s, the personal computers came into being. 10 years later, the internet came into play. 10 years later, smartphones came into play. So in 10 years, things shift around so much. I'm not sure what I'll be doing in 10 years, but the thing which still keeps me going is the desire to build products which will be used by billions of users and makes a difference for them. hopefully I still have a chance to do that 10 years from now.
Ah, great. Naman Gupta, can we take a question from Naman Gupta, please?
Hi, Sundar. What's your advice for a student of mathematics like me who is not studying core computer science? How can I get a job at Google? How can we work at the dream company Google?
So how many people here want to work for Google?
Yeah.
Wow.
Maybe we should open a campus in Kharagpur. The good news I would have for you is, mathematics is foundational. Earlier I talked about machine learning. If you look at what machine learning is, a lot of it is just, most of the, to do real improvements in machine learning algorithms, it's all mathematics. In fact, I think it's easier to train a good mathematician, train them on the computer science needed to become a machine learning expert than the other way about. So, I actually think you're on a good path, so keep doing it.
Thank you.
Okay, I have a question from Shaurya Kumar, who could not be here today. Yeah. Can you tell us what you remember from your job interview at Google way back in 2004?
I interviewed at Google on April 1st, 2004, which is April Fool's Day. And Google had just announced Gmail, and it was invite only, and so but people weren't exactly sure whether it was an April Fool's joke. And so I remember doing my interviews during the day, and people kept asking me, "What do you think of Gmail?" But I hadn't had a chance to use it. I thought they were, it was an April Fool's joke. So my first 3 interviews, I couldn't answer it well because I didn't use the product. It was only in the 4th interview when someone asked me, "Have you seen Gmail?" I said no, and so he actually showed it to me. And then the 5th interviewer asked, "What do you think of Gmail?" And I was able to start answering it then. So the final 4 interviews, I actually told them about what I think of Gmail and how to improve Gmail. And that's my interview experience like. Somebody in the middle also took me to have ice cream in the middle, which showed me Google was a very, very different place as well. So that was how my interview process went.
But is it true that everyone at that time was interviewed by Larry Page as well?
I was one of the first people, I think. I joined Google when we were over 1,000 people. And Larry, just at that point, was the first time he had stopped interviewing people.
Oh.
So I still joke around that I got into Google because Larry didn't interview me. So.
Great. Can we have a question from Beena Kumari?
Hi, Sundar. My
Yeah.
question for you is, having a major in metallurgical engineering, how did you end up or follow your passion for computer science?
It's a part which I was telling, it's a long road. I always enjoyed programming. I still remember learning Fortran, for those of you who know that language, at KGP here. And I always enjoyed programming, so I did that on the side, and that became something which I pursued, because I really enjoyed doing it.
Yeah. Can we have a question from Ashish Dhiman, please? Ashish Dhiman? Okay, there at the back.
Hello, sir. My question to you is, during your stay at KGP or Stanford, did you ever get that feeling of future insecurity? Like, will I be able to make it? Will I be able to stand out and make a place of my own? Basically, will I get a job? What did you do to cope up then?
Look, when you work with really good people, what you just described is it's a natural feeling to have. There are definitely at times, I've worked with amazing people at Google. I've been in a room where I felt, these people are better than me at what they're doing. And, in fact, at Google, we talk about this for many, many new people. Sometimes they come into Google, and we have a phrase for this. We call this the imposter syndrome. People commonly say, well, I don't belong here because, people around me seem very, very good. And I think any elite institution, I'm sure it's true at IIT here, you're always surrounded by very good people, and I think there are moments when you feel what you just described. Yeah. I think it's natural. If anything, I would say you almost always want to feel that all through your life, because that means you're working with people who are very, very good, and and that's really important. So you always, if you feel very comfortable in what you're doing, I don't think you're pushing yourself enough, and so I think you always want to strive to be in environments where you feel the people around you are a little bit better than you are.
Thanks.
Is Somama Paul here? Yeah, okay.
Hello, sir. Sir, my question was, being a first-year student, this question has always troubled me, that how can we make the most of the 4 or 5 years we spend in the campus, because there are so many activities and avenues we can actually engage ourselves in.
Hopefully, I remember having a lot of free time, at least when I was at IIT. I guess things have changed. But I wouldn't overthink it. The way I would answer these things is, I would do what feels something like you like spending time on, and I would use that as a yardstick and not feel the pressure to do what others are telling you to do, right? And so I think at least my solution, the way I dealt with these things, was try and feel what I really enjoy doing and pursue that. So hopefully that's the way to do it.
The IITs are great at imparting technical skills to students. But when you go outside, you need some soft skills as well. So, and I remember during my time at IIT, we had to do a few courses in humanities as well to graduate.
Yeah.
But they were sort of looked down upon in some sense. This is not the hardcore macho stuff. So what is your feeling? I mean, what do you think? Should students be developing themselves holistically? Should they be spending time on stuff outside the core technical stuff to get a wider perspective?
I think so. I think it's good. I regret not having done it more when I was here. But when you look at the cultural festivals which happen at IITs, or I'm not sure whether you still do the Diya festival during Diwali, and and so things like that are great to get involved in.
Yeah.
I think anything like that, doing more things and just getting a more well-rounded experience, I think actually makes a real difference. And to your point around even courses in humanities, writing is an important skill in life. Spending time learning how to write better, all those things end up mattering.
Great. We'll now move on to what is called a rapid fire round. Have you seen Coffee with Karan ever?
Here and there on YouTube.
Okay. Well, we won't put you we'll put you in the hot seat, but we won't ask you very tough questions.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Okay, but in the interest of time, many of these questions are from students, but I'll sort of take them. So the first one is from Vishal Sharma. How do you spend your free time?
Free time.
Do you have free time?
Definitely. I have young kids, so I try to spend it with them. I love watching cricket and soccer. If I get a chance, I do that too. So try to stay in touch with friends and family.
How old are the kids?
13 and 9.
13 and 9. Yeah. Okay, this one is a tricky one from Amol Sakhle. What was your GPA at IIT?
I would say, too embarrassed to admit it after my first year, but really good the next 3 years to make up for it. So that's how I would say.
So there's hope. Year 1 students, if your GPA is low, there's still hope. Okay, this one is from Surajit Mura Singh. Who was your idol during your BTech days?
Many. I would say many people. I admired people from all walks of life. This week I met Mr. Narayana Murthy. Had a chance to have breakfast with them. Admired people like that who put India really on the map globally. I love watching cricket. Love watching Tendulkar play. Tendulkar started playing when I joined IIT, so things like that.
The next one is from me. Okay, the next one is from me. Who's your favorite Bollywood actress?
Wow. At Google, I had a chance to host and interview Deepika Padukone and Shah Rukh Khan. And so maybe Deepika Padukone. I used to enjoy watching Prakash Padukone play badminton as well, so combination of the two.
And who was your favorite actress when you were growing up?
Favorite actors?
Actress
growing up. There were many. I can choose.
Do you have a poster in your room?
I don't want to comment on posters and what happens in college dorm stays there, right? So.
Great. Okay, this one is from Ankit Kumar. Who was your favorite professor at IIT Kharagpur?
There were quite a few, I think, Professor Roy from my department, Professor Indranil Manna, who is now at IIT Kanpur, they were two of my favorite professors. So.
Yeah, great. This one is from Gaurav Malik. Do you still get calls from your college friends?
I do. Today it's much easier to stay in touch through many different ways, but, I definitely, as I said, a few of us met up in Bangalore, and so it was good to meet with a few friends from KGP in Bangalore. So I still.
Do you have a group which you are on with all these friends of yours?
Yeah. I mean, we follow them on Facebook, WhatsApp, everything, just like everyone else does.
Yeah, great. And this one is from Fahad Shaheen. How can I replace you at Google?
I would tell him, be careful what you wish for. But happy to discuss this with him over a cup of chai. So.
Right. And of course, you've been, I heard you say that Gavaskar was your favorite cricketer while you were growing up, and you used to listen to the commentary on radio, India versus West Indies. Yeah. Gavaskar used to score hundreds in the Windies against those fast bowlers. And of course, you mentioned Tendulkar as well, right? But who's your favorite cricketer today? Do you follow cricket?
I follow cricket, and I don't get as much time as I used to, but they keep making the game shorter and shorter, so it gets easier to follow. I definitely follow cricket. Like with everyone here, I think watching Kohli through the last year has been incredible. So, I didn't think somebody could have an average above 50 in all forms of the game: Test cricket, one days, and T20. So it's been phenomenal to see.
And were you a cricketer yourself? Did you play while you were at...
And not very good. I couldn't even make it to the KGP team, so sorry.
Okay, great. I think, Sundar, it's been awesome talking to you. Thank you for taking the time out to be here with all these students. I'm sure they'll go back a lot more inspired. Okay? One last request. Can we have a selfie with everyone?
Oh, absolutely. Well, thank you so much for taking the time and waiting here, and it's been a great day. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. Is it okay?
All right.
I'll just click a few.
All right.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Oh, one with these guys as well.
Oh. All right. Thank you, guys. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Check. Guys, remain seated. We have an important announcement to make. First of all, round of applause for Round of applause, everybody. Big round of applause. Maximum round of applause. Remain seated. We'll evacuate the venue shortly. First, the first 3 rows will leave. Then the others will leave. So everybody, please remain seated. Otherwise, there'll be chaos.
This is still being live streamed. You are still being judged.
Yes.
Careful.
But before we leave, let's give a big round of applause for Professor PPC for hosting us. Yes.
To Professor Siddhartha and Professor Baiduria for all the help in getting this event together. Round of applause for them, everybody.
Professor S.S. Das and his entire team, please taaliyan bajao. Yes. Shyamal Viswas, Sabyasachi Ghosh, Mr. B.B. Roy, S.S. Jha and their teams, unke liye taaliyan bajao, please. Sab log bajao. Okay, 2 log baja rahe.
Also to Pushkar and Shovan. Round of applause for them. And mostly, out of everybody else, round of applause for you guys.
You guys have been a fantastic audience.
Being fantastic, for sitting in the sun. Thank you very much. Round of applause for these guys just sitting on the stage, getting backstage view of this whole thing.
After the first 3 rows leave, then the students who are standing, they'll leave, and then the rest of us will evacuate. Okay? Make it slow, take your time, otherwise there will be chaos. Okay? Thank you guys. Bye-bye.